I'm young enough in my career that I'm just kind of getting the ball rolling with getting my art out on display in public and different venues and opportunities and meeting lots of people. So just in the past, I'd say like year and a half, I've really started to kind of gain some momentum with that, including this show. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity. But mainly, I'd say I'm an oil painter. I do lots of colorful paintings. That's kind of something that's been a continuous theme through all my work, is a lot of color. Since I graduated, I've kind of been evolving my style a bit and trying to really find my working aesthetic and what that looks like. And so this show kind of is a reflection on some of the past few bodies of work I've done since I've graduated. And kind of, it's been really interesting to pick from different series and see how they relate to each other and how they've informed each other and how they speak to each other. So I pulled a few from these different series. And so, yeah, so I named the show Seeing in Abstraction kind of based on how I approach painting. I'm pretty process-driven in how I create compositions and start the whole painting process. So I use a lot of photos when I start. I take a lot of photographs and I'll print them off, and I'll kind of do a lot of drawings from that, work on compositions, kind of play around with different shapes and things like that. And I really like doing that because having a photograph rather than, say, working from life in like a plein air setting or something, I really like the photograph flattens the imagery a bit. It kind of flattens everything down to a flat plane where you can play more with abstract shapes. Even if it's like a realistic setting, you're really kind of abstracting out, playing with different shapes and planes and things like that.
Could you show us an example
Sure.
of what you're saying there?
Sure. So, like for this one, this was based on a photograph I took of an ivy-covered log that was, I think, down in Whetstone Park. And it was, I took a real up-close shot of it, and it was just all these leaves and foliage, really dense, covering this whole log. And it created this really wonderful pattern. And it created this beautiful pattern and a really interesting kind of textural arrangement. So I thought, ooh, this would be really fun to work with. So I took a photo of that, printed it off in black and white so I didn't have color influencing me. And then I started sketching and kind of pulling out some of the leaf shapes and kind of simplifying. And then I threw it up on this board. I painted on panel, which is a relatively new thing for me. All throughout college I did canvas, and then once I graduated I started working on panel, and that has been like the best decision I've ever made. It's been so much more fun to paint on panel because it's a different feel when you're painting. It's a smoother surface, and then you can really kind of dig into it a bit in terms of laying down paint, sanding it off, putting down more layers on, scraping it off, and you get a lot more rich texture and layers of paint that show through that with it.
And it's already rich with oil.
Yeah.
Oil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love working with oil. It just has a really nice quality to it. And yeah, so this was kind of, I did a whole series. There were these square paintings like this. It was called Concurrence. And they were all kind of pattern heavy and based on photographs I took from nature that had lots of foliage and leaf shapes and organic forms that were fairly up close shots, not big landscape scenes, but very close tight compositions that way. And then I would just play with, I'd draw it on, and then I'd start filling in almost like a paint by numbers way with the different colors. And then I'd paint over parts of it and then sand it away to see how that worked, and play a lot with positive and negative space. so that whole series was a real, really influenced me in terms of my process and kind of helped me come to a different level in my painting. And subsequently kind of helped inform my next series of paintings I did, which this one and this one are a part of. And that was called I call that series the Veiled series, which is a little more, how do I say this? I dealt with some more themes besides just purely aesthetic exploration of technique or painting style. It was more thinking of different like personal narratives and ways of seeing and observing the world around me. So yeah, I did a whole series of paintings that were this shape, and there's a few more out in the hallway that you can see. They're kind of tall and narrow. And again, I used photographs that were like nature-based photographs of organic shapes and leaves and flowers. And I would start with a pretty realistic drawing on here of like a stem of a flower with leaves or the growth of some tree or something like that, fairly realistically. And then I'd kind of abstract it from there and I'd start to like white paint all over it and scrape it off and started to throw in some more geometric elements. And the whole time I kept one little patch clear, so it was kind of like a little window into like a clearer picture. All the rest was more obscure. So that kind of became the theme for this series, of having like a little section of clarity amidst a much more kind of ambiguous painting. So that was kind of an interesting step to see from this series into this one in terms of some of the imagery and the technique that remained, but then also trying to make it a little more abstract, a little more thoughtful in composition.
I was thinking that too. This is peeking through there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so delightful.
Yeah, and it's
beautiful.
It's kind of fun because it's really nice to step back and see all these works now, because I did these, I think, 2 summers ago, and this was last summer. And I wasn't intentionally trying to make them be related, but that just kind of happened, and that's always kind of a pleasant surprise to see. And let's see what else. I did, the last kind of grouping I have in this show are these little more, what do you call them, steadies, little oil painting steadies I did. There were just observational studies of scenes from my home that I kind of wanted to do as a practice. Kind of a study of light and shadow using a limited color palette. Not so much in this one, but the other 2 I have limited color palettes on. Just playing around with a little more realistic scene to kind of, because I hadn't done that in a long time, so making those was really really kind of a nice, like a breather from other work I've been doing.
That's exquisite because it has about it characteristics of what you love.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. That's another one. After I did it, I looked at this one and I was like, wow, that's really interesting. Those colors are totally in there that I wasn't really planning on it, but I've just kind of been having these little surprises along the way that have been really nice.
Do you do a lot of sketching first?
Some sketching. It depends on the piece. I don't like to plan out too much because I find that really limits me when I start to paint. Sometimes if I have ideas, I'll do little watercolor sketches to kind of get some color ideas down or some basic framework. But usually I like to just dive into the actual painting and kind of edit as I go. And that really kind of helps me work it out that way, I guess.
Did that working out happen in art art school, or did you come to that?
A little of both. I mean, this is all fairly different from what I did in art school. Art school really taught me the value of not being afraid to mess up, not being afraid to paint over a canvas that you weren't happy with, or try something really bold that might ruin the painting, but kind of it releases you of that fear of like not wanting to make a mistake or viewing any painting as like too precious or to alter. I worked through a lot of that in college, and that's kind of has freed me up a lot to be more experimental now than I ever was then. So,
What a great gift.
yeah.
I can remember taking drawing lessons not too long ago, and the teacher I had, Anita Miller, was just so encouraging, and you know, and then it came out great too. But then the teacher who followed was very structured, very, I would say, nerve-wracking for most of us, and it kind of the creativity
Yeah,
was lost.
yeah,
And it's delightful to hear how
yeah.
creativity evolved in you. You could just go with, and then be at this point in your life for us, which is such a gift. They're exquisite.
Thank you.
So talk about the portrait. And did you do that without sketching it, or?
That is, how did I do that? I think I took a picture of myself so I could see that side profile, and then I worked from that picture. And I didn't do any preliminary sketches for that. I just started sketching right on here. I usually, after I prime, I like put down like a toned ground, and then I'll do, depending on the color of the tone, if it's really dark, I'll do like a white charcoal pencil sketch, or if it's a light ground, then I'll do a dark charcoal sketch. And so I'll sketch it all out that way, and then I'll start painting it in. But this actually was kind of funny. I didn't intend it to be, I've done a fair amount of self-portraits, and I was like, I don't want to do another one. That's not, I don't want it to be like about me or, you know, anything like that. So I kind of intended it to be a little more, I don't know, not referencing me as much. It's just supposed to be more of like a viewer, but then it ended up looking more like me than I planned on. So what can you do? But this one, when I painted this, I had it, planned it so when we would hang all these thinner works together, they'd all be this way. So it would be kind of like, this was like acting as an observer, looking at all the rest of the paintings. So that was kind of the intention of that. And I also, planning this one, I was just curious. You know, I hadn't done a, you know, had human in a painting in a long time. So I was like, well, let's throw a figure in there and practice that a little bit. It was a little bit of just like, I wanted to practice and see what happened. And
What's Neil think of that? He loves it.
Everyone asks me, when are you going to paint your husband? I don't know. But, yeah.